If there was one movie I didn't expect to be good, it was Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. This was a movie that I'd seen reviews about and everybody praising it, but honestly, the marketing of this movie is completely terrible. The way I've been saw the trailers and all the marketing spots, all the posters, just seemed so generic and lifeless that when I actually sat down and watched this movie this week, I was actually pretty shocked because it was actually really good. Like the way this movie is made, the humor and the acting is actually really good, but this marketing was just so horrible and off that it kind of really made it generic rather than the uniqueness of everything. So I really wanted to do a quick review of this movie because I genuinely thought that I haven't seen a movie quite like this, and it kind of really made me ache for like good old, those mid-budget, like this is not mid-budget, but still like those good comedy movies you can just watch once in a while and you could never forget. Like this is one of those I would say is like really good, and we haven't had those in a while, I guess. And so yeah, so what's it about? So without spoiling anything, it's basically a charming thief played by Chris Pine and his band of unlikely adventurers who embark on an epic quest to retrieve a lost relic. But things go dangerously awry when they run afoul of the wrong people. So yeah, that's like the basic way of non spoiling it, but that's really what it's about. But more in detail summary would be that basically this is literally kind of like his family, and for some reasons he has to go out and be a thief and all this, and while he has a daughter and everything, and then things happen and he has to go and save his daughter and at the same time get this lost relic that he really needs. That's the best way to say it. And to start off, I have to say is the humor. The humor in this movie is actually really funny, and it actually makes me laugh because there are moments in this movie that are so unique and kind of dark. Like there's this moment when they want to talk to dead people, so what they do is that you have to ask them 5 questions, and if you ask them accidentally 5 questions, they're dead and then you can't bring their spirit back. So they do it, and then there's these comedic situations which really weren't really highlighted, and that's what made it really funny, that they had these instances that were just so funny that you wouldn't think that would be like really unique. Another unique thing is how they have managed to show this world of Dungeons and Dragons without making it too complicated for people, because me personally, I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons fan. I love fantasy, I read fantasy. By the way, I have a second channel called The Word Man where I review books, so check that out. But basically, Dungeons and Dragons really explores the world, but it doesn't like really make it so over the top because of the different stuff that the world has, that you don't really understand anything. You don't need to know anything about the world, and you can easily get in, and the dialogue is not also so expository that that's just exposition. It's done naturally, so you understand the world just enough to understand the story, and that's what makes it so good and so fun. And the other thing is the acting. Chris Pine is like basically playing himself. Like I like him and what he's done, and it's really not that different from everything. Michelle Rodriguez as Holga is actually pretty good too. She's like playing that, the woman who's like rough and she's like a mercenary and she's a badass. And Chris Pine, like I said, the same. Like he's playing an over the top, the leader, but like he's kind of in over his head as Edgin. And there are many other different characters, but what makes it great is that the some characters who have and character arc get that character arc, and it's really good, and the chemistry between them, like for example Justice Smith, who plays Simon, a wizard, or Sophia Lillis, who plays Doric, like all these characters have become a team, but they never feel like they're not a real team. They have this chemistry and this way that they bond with each other. It feels organic, and it's funny, and it's interesting at times. There is also this big over the arch plot in the story, which is really nice, and it's done in a clever way. They don't ever do it in a horrible way, and it's really good. Something bad about this movie that I would say is basically the CGI. Like there are points in this movie where the CGI just looks weird and wonky, and there are many times where it looks good too, because there's a sequence with a really chubby fat dragon. I don't want to say anything more. If that doesn't interest you, I don't know what will. But still, it's very wonky sometimes. Sometimes you'll see and you'll be like, that's fake. It just looks really bad. Like why do that? But it's just so amazing the way they have written the story and how incredible it is. But another bad aspect that I would say that makes this movie so the little bit weird is that sometimes you can see where it's going and where it's gonna end. Like there are points, like I don't want to spoil anything, but like there are points where you could see some cliches and tropes that they would be using, and still it's a great movie. Like I wouldn't take anything away from this movie, because what makes this movie so good is the fact that it's a very comfort movie, has these tropes, cliches, but it still manages to make it fresh and new in this new setting, in this new world. It makes you care about these characters, and it makes you laugh and enjoy and have a good time without constantly having superheroes, end of the world, and mainly a good story. Like it's amazing how we're living in a world now where we're just tired of this stupid shit that Marvel is constantly making, and this is literally what we kind of need. And this is the IP. If you get IP like this, I'm fine with it. But this is really the example, and I wish more people would have watched it in theaters. And I know the producer or at Paramount said they might make a second one, and I hope they do, because this one was really good. And I just hope for the best. And yeah, so please watch this movie. It's genuinely good. Maybe if enough, more than enough people watch this movie, they might make a sequel. And if it's just as good as this one, why not? So thanks for watching, and please subscribe.